Big Mac. And it comes with the Neither Flame sauce, which, if you're not getting McNuggets, why are you getting Neither Flame sauce? I don't understand. Doesn't smell particularly appetizing to me, but... Now we review Star Wars 2, Attack of the Pleasure Pods. It's a 1998 movie. Ladies and gentlemen, I have seen Star Wars 2, Attack of the Pleasure Pods. There is no Star Wars 1. There isn't even much in the way of worms in this movie. And the pleasure pods are also not very prevalent to the plot, of which there isn't very much of. This is a pre-mockbuster trauma film that was designed to exist for stupid people to buy, thinking it had something to do with Star Wars. It's like, you think that people would just not see the M and be like, Star Wars 2. And that's probably why this movie came out. Before I go any further, let me inform you that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. Now, back to Star Worms. The majority of the action does take place on a mining planet with... It's a penal colony where they're panning for some sort of an important element, and they all wear gray jumpsuits that look hastily produced, defend themselves and take over other people's territory with extremely crude spears, and wish there were more women. So, much like real life, really. Look, this movie sounds like a pornographic version of Star Wars. It's not that. There is some dirty content, but you don't see anything of note. It's really just somebody... I think somebody slapped a movie together in a weekend, and then Troma Studios probably just purchased it. It's one of those films that it's an artifact of its time, and it's really just boring and very little you can glean from it. I mean, if there was ever a movie that could stand a remake, this is one of those movies, because there is no way you could do worse, even with no budget. I mean, even with no... This thing, it feels like it was filmed out in the California desert somewhere with the worst special effects possible. I mean, it is just... meh. So that, yeah, Star Wars 2, Attack of the Pleasure Pods, is very definitely a fans of the genre only film. And if you're wondering, no, there is no Star Wars 1. That apparently does not exist. There is a Russian film made many years later called Star Worms, but it is no relation to this film so far as I'm aware. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours in the comments below.
Randall the Rat here, reminding you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Well, look over here. These are bracelets from 4Ocean. Each one of them means a pound of trash was pulled out of the ocean. And this channel buys one for every 1,000 subscribers it gets. And this around my neck, well, this is a medal from the Conqueror. It represents walking around the Great Pyramids of Giza. You can get one for yourself by going to the Conqueror challenges.com and saying, hey, I want to pretend I walked around the pyramids of Giza without dealing with all the sweat and flies and delicious scarab beetles. Or you could support this channel so they can buy more of these, which means that they will plant trees, because each one of these represents 5 trees that got planted. Yeah, that's right, 5 trees helping your environment. Global warming sucks. Be a good person, comment, like, and subscribe. Give us more money so that we can plant trees by buying metals from the Conqueror. Randall out.
Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this September 19th, 2024, to the late Adam West. There is no name more closely associated with the Batman title than his. He was the 1960s Batman and the face of the franchise for many decades. Continued to be a part of it well up until very close to his death, and he's just sorely missed. As 88 years old, back in 2017, he lived a long and fruitful life, and he's sorely missed. Adam, know that you'll live forever in our hearts. Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this December 2nd, 2024, to Alfred Enoch. He is known for The Critic, This Is Christmas, Executive Order, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, as well as many more. He is 36 years young today. Alfred, you have a happy birthday.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I am Richard. This is Random Street Theater, and I am trying to get it started, so I have myself 2 cans of 5-Hour Energy Orange Side. Extra strength. Tastes better, works better. Sometimes you're thirsty and tired. 0 sugar. Yeah, for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do, of course, purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean then pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. If you're so kind as come look and subscribe, doing your part for a better world. I am thirsty. I am thirsty, but I'm getting tired. And it actually doesn't taste bad. It tastes sort of like Diet Orange Soda. Now, again, these were on sale. And I don't like diet things. I don't like 0 sugar things. They tend to be bad for me. They tend to make me feel bad. But in a world where this is the thing I can find for a good price, this is what I'm buying. As I film this, I'm currently not being worked to death, so I don't need energy drinks. But I have work to do on my house, so I'm doing that. And I'm just trying to push it. So I have work to do, and I just need the energy. Is really doing a number on this ice, by the way. And I can tell you, in addition, it's not taking the cold well. It's one of those things about some beverages is that you need to leave them for a bit for the cold to kind of seep their way through. And all you have to do is grip this, and you can tell right here where the ice is, it's cold. But down here at the bottom, it's not. So if you drink this too fast, it's not going to be cold. This is probably something you should keep chilled if you want to drink it. And again, I am not a big fan of this product in general. I haven't had a 5-Hour Energy in years. And here they are trying to get to the lucrative market. This doesn't taste bad. I personally don't care for the 0 sugar energy drinks because it gives people one less reason to drink them in moderation because they think, well, I'm not going to get fat. No, but you could get very sick. So just understand that energy drinks, if you have, what is that? Okay, this has something like, 20,000% of your vitamin B12, apparently. So, yeah. I don't know how much caffeine it has, but damn, that's a lot of vitamin B12. Kind of don't know if I want to finish this now. That's just a lot of vitamin. Do I have another energy drink? No, I don't. Not in here. But yeah, that's a lot of vitamin B12. And of course, the B vitamins. The B vitamins are there. They counteract whatever it is that makes you tired, but they do blunt your reflexes. Do understand something that if you are tired and you need to get home and you're thinking of reaching for a 5-hour energy, pull your ass over and get some sleep. Okay? Do not drink this stuff and think, well, I'm trying to get home. Because for one, as implied, it affects you for at least 5 hours. It takes 6 hours to leave your system, I believe. And two, it does impact your ability to drive. So it's like, yeah, when I'm on duty and I need that energy boost to keep going, this is a fine thing to have within the first 2 hours of my shift. Okay, after those 2 hours, I need to stop. Okay, and if I'm going to work, that's the time for me to film one of these videos normally, is because, all right, I'm going to go to work tonight. I need to just pop that energy, and then, you start out strong and you slowly get weaker and weaker. I do prefer to have energy drinks on hand when I'm at work, but I've found that, what works best for me is I'll just run my coffee pot with nothing in it, take the hot water, throw it in a pitcher, drop some tea in there, and then have myself some iced tea. And that works pretty well for me. But then maybe that's because I'm not trying to party it up. And I mean, yeah, look, this tastes good enough so that if you put sweeter spirit in here, probably wouldn't be that bad of a drink. I mean, it is exactly where I want this kind of energy drink to be. It is not so good as I would crave it, and it is not so bad as I want to spit it out. It is simply there. It's orange. It's actually a little bit on the flat side. It's orange drink. But you know what? That's part of the charm, isn't it? So yeah, I can tell you this is definitely working. I can already feel it working. I can already feel like I'm going to be able to pop the card out of this thing and work all night and not really have to worry about it. But in addition, I mean, you just need to understand that this is definitely not good for you. It is not something you should drink even one of a day. I would say this is the thing that you drink. It's if you are at the end of your week and you need to do a 72-hour caffeine purge, this is the thing you drink at midnight. Okay? Because, yeah, I can tell. It's pretty tough. It's probably going to make me crash. But, I mean, that's what it's for. It's to get you going. So, yeah, like I said, I can really feel it. It's already in my system. I would probably... Another thing that I would point out is if you're doing a 72, and at the end of your 72 is the amount of time it takes for your body to readjust to caffeine, or to readjust to not having caffeine. So if you are a night worker, what you want to do, your last shift of the week, you stop drinking caffeine at midnight, and then you come in on your Monday and you don't drink anything with caffeine in it for the whole weekend. So by the time you drudge in Monday, you feel terrible because your body has finally gotten through its need for caffeine. And then, that's the hardest shift there is. So you just drink one of these and you pop right back up. For your health, you should definitely do that as often as possible. Okay, but this 5-hour energy extra strength, definitely very powerful. I can really feel it working. Orange sliced or sickle? I don't know what that could be, a CL, or it could be a D. I honestly don't know. But anyway, this is definitely some powerful stuff. Handle with care. I'm Richard.
Greetings, humans! It's your old pal Randall the Rat again, and I'm taking a break from eating your delicious face to remind you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Well, for one thing, see this bling here? That awesome, isn't it? Yeah, got a dragon on it. This is what you get if you go to the Conqueror and start the Great Wall of China Challenge. Yeah. Walk long enough, bike long enough, you can plant 5 trees and get this awesome necklace, which the owner of this channel, Richard, has done for you, because he wanted to plant 5 trees and get an awesome necklace. And for every 1,000 subscribers he gets, he also buys a bracelet from 4Ocean, and they pull a pound of trash out of the ocean. So the more money he has, the more of these challenges he buys from the Conqueror, and the more trees he plants for you. So if you comment, you like and subscribe, he can buy more bracelets, pull more trash out of the ocean, and plant more trees. Isn't that awesome? Shouldn't you be doing that then? Be smart. Click that like button, or I'll eat you. Might eat you anyway. You look delicious.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is October 2nd, 2024, and the 76th birthday of Avery. Sorry for butchering your name, Avery Brooks, who is best known as Benjamin Sisko on Star Trek DS9. Yes. Now, he was a fine captain. Very much enjoyed his work. He's no Picard for me. Patrick Stewart is still going to be my favorite captain, but Avery, I mean, you did the role you had right, and probably should see more of your work because I know you're a great actor. So happy birthday! Don't drink too hard and live another 76 years.
We're taking a trip over the rainbow this June 10th, 2024 for our birthday wishes. It is the anniversary of the birth of Hollywood legend Judy Garland, who of course is best known as her role of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, was also in A Star is Born, Meet Me in St. Louis, and Easter Parade. Dorothy sadly left us in 1969. Well, you're going to live forever, right in our hearts. Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this July 20th, 2024, to the late Hollywood Golden Age scream queen, Patricia Cutts. Patricia is perhaps best known for her role in the 1959 film The Tingler, but was also in Your Witness, Battle of the Coral Sea, Spider's Web, The Long Dark Hall, and Mary Andrew. Patricia, know that you have taken your rightful place among the stars.
Now we review the 2024 film Wendigo. Not Wendigo with an E. This is Wendigo, as in it wins to go. I don't even understand that joke. It's probably not funny anyway. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there is a film that popped up on my radar, and it's not in theaters. It's a direct-to-streaming film. Believe you can get it on Amazon, you can get it on YouTube. I have not checked Tubi, but there are various streaming sites you can get it on, and that is Wendigo. That's with an I, not with an E. Okay, that's not to be confused with the 2024 film Wendigo, which has an E. This is Wendigo with an I. Alright, so, before I go any further, of course, let me point out that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. I'm trying to make the world better, and I mean that would make our native population happy, I would assume, because we have lost our connection with the Great Spirit. And the Great Spirit is what keeps us whole. So by cleaning the ocean, by being one with nature, and by respecting nature, we can all become one with the Great Spirit again. And our society is basically dying of not being one with the Great Spirit. So, that said, Wendigo is basically Pumpkinhead. If you've seen Pumpkinhead, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not seen Pumpkinhead, then don't go looking it up, because it will spoil things for this movie. But you have, what is going on is that a ancient native, I believe this is in Alaska, although I don't think it is ever overtly said, goes missing for a bit, and her Native American family says, okay, we need to go find out what's going on, and they drive down there to look for their grandma. Only it's not grandma, because the mom says, my grandma called this woman grandma, or my mom called this woman grandma. So we don't know how old she is, but apparently she's pretty old. And then, the kids are having some trouble. You've got the brother who's being picked on and bullied. He's not a very strong character. He can't really stand up for himself. You've got the sister who's basically whooping his tail. And that would really screw me over, because his sister was reasonably good looking. So, I would feel weird wrestling with her. But, if it were my sister, Godzilla should wrestle my sister. So that's a totally different story. But this chick, not bad looking. Wouldn't mind wrestling with her, to be completely honest. Anyway, so, yes, and the kids get into some trouble with, I believe, they're meth dealers, and Grandma proposes a supernatural solution. That is as far as I want to go with the plot. That's essentially the first act. And yes, okay, this movie is a little weak in the first act, and it is a little slow to get going. I will, however, point out that once the monster shows up, that is a well-made monster. That thing is as scary as whatever monstrosities my sister can conjure when she passes gas. Not as scary as the gas itself, but scary as the monsters that escape when she passes gas. So yes, this is a scary enough monster. If I were in the room with this thing, it would probably scare the heck out of me. But I have been in a room with my sister, so nothing scares me. This creature, it's your typical big, bad, ugly bugly. You've got your tiny ugly buglies, which are generally played by children, your sort of imps and fairies and gnomes and things. And then you've got your big, bad, ugly buglies, which are normally depicted about 7 feet tall and are big and bad and ugly and bugly. A great example, of course, would be Pumpkinhead. He's pretty tall and he's big, bad, ugly, bugly. And the xenomorph from Aliens, that's a big, bad, ugly, bugly. And this is a similar big, bad, ugly, bugly. The art design on it uses bone and sticks, but it does look very much like a living creature. It has living attributes, and I have to say, is fairly effective. There aren't a lot of special effects in this particular movie, and if you're looking for a horror classic like Silence of the Lambs, which is more of a thriller, but that's neither here nor there. If you're looking for a completely new concept like It Follows, that's not this movie, all right? This movie is not groundbreaking. It is not something that has not been done before. In fact, there are a lot of movies where the monster is the Wendigo. It's kind of an overused concept in Native American film and even horror film to a certain extent, although it does get points for having a completely Native American central cast, with the Caucasians being side characters, which is something you don't see enough of in film. So it gets some points for that, but that may be more of a, hey, in 20 years, those films may not be rare, or maybe those films aren't rare, I just don't have access to them. So that's one of those things, I enjoyed this film. It was a solid horror entry. There's a lot of good things to say about it. It doesn't scare me, but nothing scares me. Look, I've been in real situations where people were going to die. Not a lot scares you after that. You're not jumping at Jason Voorhees anymore after those situations. So I'm, very much jaded when it comes to horror movies, but I do enjoy horror movies, and I have to say, the action was solid, the set pieces were real, This feels like, somebody had access to this environment. They used this environment, and I applaud that. This is a film that definitely belongs on your watch list. I would say upper middle, just above. I mean, if you had the option of seeing this or Lift, Wendigo. If you had your option of seeing, The Beekeeper or Wendigo, I would again say Wendigo. Why? Because I haven't seen The Beekeeper, but it's kind of a generic action film, whereas this has a little more flavor to it. It's a slightly better than average project, and it's done by smaller filmmakers who really, they could use our help. Now, again, if this were free, I would say stream the heck out of it. Watch it twice. This is not free. I believe you have to buy or rent this digitally. And, that does mean that it's a little more wary. If you've got money to burn, definitely go watch this movie. It is a solid enough film. I know it's not getting the best ratings on IMDb. I think it's rated just above Lift, in fact. Although, understand that this is a very different product. Lift was essentially a comedy action film, was designed to make you laugh, smile, and have a good time. This is a horror movie, and it is designed to drudge up your deepest fears, like the dark nightmares and being unable to control yourself. So in that range, it is very effective. I mean, when I saw that this movie existed, I really wanted to watch it. Now that I've seen it, I'm glad that I have. It's a solid movie. If you have the opportunity, definitely see it. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Comments below. I'm Richard. Greetings, folks. Fred the Facehugger here, reminding you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Because for every 1,000 subscribers, Random Street Theater here will pull a pound of trash out of the ocean. That's through the company 4Ocean. And why? Why do we pull trash out of the ocean? Because your world is dying. Care about your world, comment, like, and subscribe. It's not that hard.
Celebrity birthday wishes go today, this July 11th, 2024, to Game of Thrones actress Michelle Fairley. Michelle Fairley is 61 years young today. She has also been in Gangs of London, Nobody Has to Know, The Gone, The White Princess, and many, many more. Michelle, you have a happy birthday.
Celebrity birthday wishes go today, this June 4th, 2024, to Keith David. Keith is 78 years young today and is famous for films like John Carpenter's They Live, The Thing, and the 1989 classic Roadhouse. Keith, you have a happy birthday and stay awesome.
Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this November 7th, 2024, to Yoonjin Kim. She is perhaps best known for Lost, but was also in Mistresses, Ardor, Confession, as well as many more. She is 51 years young today. Kim, you have a happy birthday.
Celebrity birthday wishes go today, this March 9th, 2024, to Emmanuel Lewis. He's 53 years young and 4'3". Best known for his role as Webster. So, you could literally go up to this guy and say, "Go shorty, it's your birthday, gonna party, 'cause it's your birthday." Which I will not subject you to any more of my singing, but bro, you have a wonderful day, and just remember that you're classic, your existence makes people smile, and you should live for many, many more years.
Now we review the 2024 film Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Oh, they're so hairy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have just seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and to premise this, I never saw any of the other... is that an airplane? Or a car? I never saw any of the other Apes movies in this particular series. I have seen Planet of the Apes, the original Charlton Heston. I have read the book Planet of the Apes, and that's as far as I go. I never took an interest because I've always thought this was a little on the dumb side. And yeah, I mean, it's you start with a chimpanzee named Noah, and Noah winds up encountering a human, and this human is being pursued by another group of apes, and these apes show up and kill or capture Noah's tribe, and his tribe is then, enslaved to open a door. It's weird. And Noah is left out, so he's trying to save his tribe, and he runs into the human and an orangutan. And here's one of the big glaring issues with this movie for me. I mean, look, it's visually stunning. The characters are real unless you put them against the real thing. And compared to, real orangutans and such, these characters don't look very convincing. But, orangutans and gorillas are harem-keeping animals. So an orangutan would have... The big male is the orangutan that we don't see really in media. In media, the bigger male, he has cheek pouches, he's twice the size of a female, and the females are smaller, and the male protects the females from other males and dangerous animals, and the male has a harem. He has several females that he breeds with. The same thing with the mountain gorillas, and so forth. So the chimpanzees are a little more monogamous, not like super monogamous, but they're far more monogamous than humans and the other large apes. So that's not depicted in this film, and it's kind of a big thing. It's like, okay, you see this lone elderly orangutan, but he should have a tribe because orangutans are far more dependent on their tribe than chimpanzees. But okay, I don't know how common it is to find these people alone in the woods. Before I forget, let me remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. Now, this story features, as I said, there's Noah, the eagle tribe, and then there's a Proximus Caesar, all right, who is a gorilla the one who wants to open the door. He who wants to open, because he's basically trying to gain the secrets of man. If you were to compare him to a character from the Jungle Book, he's the orangutan king. And that's one of those things. He wants to, because he believes that in there are the secrets of the human race, which part of the problem here is that where did everything go? Because they're shown in the Griffith Observatory in this movie. So they're in the heart of Los Angeles. Even in 300 years, there would still be a lot of Los Angeles left. And I mean, it's like, for years I lived across the street from a gun nut. And the gun nut had a safe full of guns, and he had the ability to reload. So, if they're looking for these like weapons and things, you would see a lot more scavenging of human objects even 300 years later, rather than manufacturing of your own objects. This is just one of those things that would happen if society fell, is you would have like old water bottles being used for things, and styrofoam cups and whatever have you. You would probably see weapons made out of pipes and so on and so forth. You would not see a society returning to the rural, primitive stick age. You would see them scavenging what they can from the human undergrounds, from the because I mean, society still existed. It didn't vanish, and from what I understand, there was not a nuclear war that destroyed all the technology. But here it is, 300 years after the death of Caesar, apparently. Human society has become a myth, and there are all these biological freaks that don't follow the rules of their own nature. I mean, There's the gorilla and his gorilla guards, but so where are the female gorillas is the big question for me. They would be somewhere. He would have a harem. He would have children. Those guards would probably be his sons. And there would be reasons for what he was doing. It's just one of those things. And again, why can't the apes read is not explained. But apparently there are humans who can read in this world. There are humans who are mute in this world. I'm told that's because of a virus. And, so on and so forth. Just understand another thing about human biology. There are people who have survived what we call a hemispherectomy. That is where half of the brain is actually removed to prevent seizures. And the rest of the brain tends to take over in that instance and compensate for the missing components. So we've even seen very basic areas of the brain missing and human beings who we really couldn't tell when they were adults. So if there is a virus that could destroy human speech, it would pretty much have to attack the vocal cords, not the brain. Because if you were born without Broca's area, the area of the brain designed for human speech, you would probably be able to adapt and still use those vocal cords to make sound. I mean, the larynx is essentially a muscle. It's moved like a muscle, so that would still be there. So this is kind of the problem with me. Now, let's just roll all that up and set it aside. What you have here is an adventure movie. I need to get my family back. Love those kinds of movies. One of the bigger problems with this movie, of course, probably the reason why you added the orangutan character, is it's hard for you to tell who's who. All right? For me it is anyway. It's like, okay, there's the one that's his mom, and, most of the time she's just a naked ape. So you see crowds of naked apes, and you're not really seeing, anyone distinguishing them. And it's harder for me to grasp onto the characters and to know who is who. I mean, I got the concept that these are his family members, but the individual family members sort of faded into the darkness for me, and that was a negative. I don't know how orangutans would be more differentiated unless they decided to wear clothing, and if they're spinning their clothing, that clothing would be very unique to the individuals. Maybe they would have tattoos or some kind of other marking, or maybe they would even dye their fur at a certain point. These are all possibilities. But that was kind of the shorter comings of this film for me. Beyond, the action sequences are fine. The idea that all that technology would be working the way it does after 300 years. They have shipwrecks that look like they're 100 years old. Okay, but it's hard to imagine a 300-year-old metal shipwreck because I don't think we had metal ships 300 years ago, if we did, we had very few of them, and unless the wrecks are in very cold water, they wouldn't stand up. It's just the shipwreck scenes seem a little like it was designed for something. Why would you be living in the shipwreck? It doesn't make sense. This would be a terrible place to live, and it would probably suck. Whereas there would probably be human buildings left, not necessarily skyscrapers or homes like mine. My house is made out of wood without proper maintenance. The roof would collapse within, a few decades or so, and the walls would rot away. So that's true. But there are industrial buildings like slab construction buildings, which should still really be around. And the best building material you're going to have in this particular environment is stone. And then the other thing is, what allowed human beings to conquer the world was farming. Okay? We can grow our own food. We can store our own food. We're not hunter-gatherers anymore. And that makes us far more powerful. So, yeah, look, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has a lot wrong with it from a logical standpoint. I know that you push that aside, and I'm not a fan of this franchise, so I don't have the investment that most of you do. If you're a fan of the Kingdom of the Apes films, you're probably going to enjoy this a lot more than I was. If you've seen them, if you know Caesar and the lore of Caesar, then you're going to like this film more than I am. I mean, the ape in here is made himself not into a Caesar, but into a religious leader. I don't know if Caesar did that. I think maybe he was a philosopher. I don't know. But he's basically, he's a politician. He's a modern politician who's a fascist, and he's getting people to believe what he says based on things that aren't true. And it really feels a little Mad Max in this movie, which honestly it should have been a little more Mad Max, because in Mad Max you see people scavenging up whatever they can find to make weapons and vehicles, and that's what would be going on in here. I mean, I don't think there'd be a car still running after 100 years, but there would be something that you could salvage. There would be things like glass and metal and all sorts of things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a movie that brings up a lot of questions logically, and if you can get past those, it's a fine movie. I just can't get past those. So for me, I put this in the lower half of your watch list. It's getting pretty good ratings, though, so I would then bump that up to the middle of your watch list. If you're into these films, go watch it. If you've seen the other films, you should probably watch this movie. If you haven't gotten into the series by now, this will not get you into it. Anyway, just my opinion. Love to hear yours. Comments below. I'm Richard.
Greetings, humans! It's your old pal Randall the Rat again, and I'm taking a break from eating your delicious face to remind you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Well, for one thing, see this bling here? That awesome, isn't it? Yeah, got a dragon on it. This is what you get if you go to the Conqueror and start the Great Wall of China Challenge. Yeah. Walk long enough, bike long enough, you can plant 5 trees and get this awesome necklace, which the owner of this channel, Richard, has done for you, because he wanted to plant 5 trees and get an awesome necklace. And for every 1,000 subscribers he gets, he also buys a bracelet from 4Ocean, and they pull a pound of trash out of the ocean. So the more money he has, the more of these challenges he buys from the Conqueror, and the more trees he plants for you. So if you comment, you like, and subscribe, he can buy more bracelets, pull more trash out of the ocean, and plant more trees. Isn't that awesome? Shouldn't you be doing that then? Be smart. Click that like button, or I'll eat you. Might eat you anyway. You look delicious.
Now we review the first 4 episodes of Star Wars: The Acolyte. In The Acolyte, this song's a lot dirtier than I thought it would be. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have just seen Star Wars: The Acolyte. Or at least the first 4 episodes of it. I'm sure the 5th one is going to come out soon, but friend came over, brought his laptop, and we watched The Acolyte. The Acolyte is the story of 2 twin sisters separated at a young age when their lesbian witch coven of Force users burned down. And one of them is pissed off at the Jedi because she killed her family by burning down their house. Yeah, doesn't make any damn sense. Look, before I get any further, of course, let me remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I do purchase one of these bracelets from the company 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. You don't care, but I'm trying to make the world better by cleaning the ocean, and you can help by commenting, liking, and subscribing. No one gives a dang, but yeah. 4Ocean says I've pulled 31 pounds of trash out of the ocean. I've got 7,000 subscribers. Anyway, so The Acolyte is getting a 3.3 on IMDb. Critics on Rotten Tomatoes are giving it an 85% favorable rating, and the audience is giving it a 15. My body is literally disgusted by the 85% because we know this is trash. In the Acolyte, Jedi have very, very inconsistent powers. And by very, very inconsistent powers, I mean, they can't touch minds anymore the way they should. I mean, there's one scene where this dude is going crazy because the Jedi put some kind of a parasite on him to shut him up. And like he's like, so the guy's like, "Oh, your mind is steady now. Tell me what happened." Okay, you could do that, but you can't track somebody running away from you, despite the fact that you're a Jedi and should be able to do that. Jedi should be able to do that. That's something that's been established. So Force powers are very inconsistent. And like there's a scene in the opening sequence, like this chick fights a Jedi. And the Jedi is supposed to be a Jedi Master, which is dumb. One of the problems with this is that there's way too many Jedi Masters and not enough Jedi Knights. That's the thing, is that Master was supposed to be a title you could only get through very hard work. Not everyone is supposed to become a Master. They're supposed to become a knight. Luke became a Jedi Knight, and you're only a master when you're training somebody, when they trust you to take responsibility for a trainee. That's kind of that thing. So you've got this woman who's a Jedi Master. She's not training anyone, and she doesn't really know how to use the Force. It's like the chick throws a knife at an innocent person, and the Jedi Master stops it in midair. And you're like, cool, that's what Jedi Masters do, right? No, that's there to look cool. A real Jedi Master wouldn't be showboating like that. They just push the knife away from the person and let it hit the ground. Okay, that makes more sense. And then you're not concentrating on the knife so that you can keep defending yourself. In addition, one of the things that happens to you when you get stabbed is that it creates a hole, and that hole tends to be the bigger problem. The wound that person suffered, that the Jedi Master suffered, probably would be fatal, but not immediately fatal. And she's a Jedi. She should be able to hold the blood in until she gets to a, normal place, or even just force heal herself, which is apparently a thing now. So the powers are really inconsistent. And I mean, there's a scene. This is kind of a spoiler, where it's like there's one Sith Lord and like 12 Jedi, and the Sith Lord's just like, boosh! And they all fall over, and you're like, these Jedi suck! They should not be Jedi! They don't have powers! They should be like, oh, there's a guy over there with a lightsaber. Well, let's use our powers combined to turn off his lightsaber. Because, as a Jedi, you should be able to do that. They should also be able to force rip his mask off and see who he is. Or she, not judging. But yeah, the Acolyte is kind of a hot mess in terms of storytelling. I was never really bored watching it. It just wasn't good, and it wasn't Star Wars. If this were a Star Wars fan film, or we're calling it something else, I'd have probably enjoyed it more. But the Acolyte belongs at the bottom of your watch list. It's garbage. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. I'm Richard.
Greetings, humans! Your old pal Randall here again, reminding you to comment, like, and subscribe. You see, I got my bracelets from Ferocian, and I got another medal from the Conqueror. Yeah, look at that, see? That's got an Easter Island head on it. Because if you can't afford to go to Easter Island, you can go and walk Easter Island virtually by going to the Conqueror. You could not screw up the environment by traveling to Easter Island. You could just get this, plant 5 trees, and then walk on your own and learn about Easter Island, because I send you postcards. And if you comment, like, and subscribe, you can help the guy that owns this channel buy things like this so he can plant trees, and buy bracelets like this from Ferocian so he can pull trash out of the ocean and make a better world for you. And it isn't going to cost you anything. So don't you have something to say? I mean, shouldn't you in the comments down below say how grateful you are that this man has planted so many trees and pulled so much trash out of the ocean and did all those good things for you? No? Ungrateful human. I should eat your face!
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the double bonus jack is listed as a new item on the Jack in the Box menu as I currently film this. I've had a bonus jack, I've never had a double bonus jack, so I'm trying one for the first time today. I will point out here that originally the bonus jack was the double bonus jack. It came with 3 pieces of bread and 2 patties, but it's been deissued and reissued. This was originally Jack in the Box's answer to the Big Mac. And you can see here, there are 2 patties. There are pickles, cheese, shredded lettuce, and some orange sauce. This looks terrible. I can tell you the bun feels cold. The meat, it does not look fresh. But it's Jack in the Box, so I mean, I'm not expecting very much. You know, just to be clear, I would never get this on its own. I'm not something that really appeals to me, but here it is. Why am I hesitating? It's not going to bite me, you know? There are a lot of pickles in this. And they're all stuck together and flavorless. That's just not how you put pickles on a burger. This has definitely been sitting too long. But I can tell you that beef is a stronger flavor with the double bonus jack. I think the double bonus jack is probably more what this burger was supposed to be, so it's definitely far better than the single bonus jack. It has more meat to it, and it has more meat texture because of that, or meat to it. If the pickles were more spread out, it would have been better. Because, you know, you just get 2 bites of pickle and then it's overwhelming pickle and then you're back to regular. This thing is sad. I mean, really, it is a very average burger. I'd even say it's a slightly below average burger. This is not as good as a regular burger from almost any other place. I mean, it's a little bigger than, say, a McDonald's cheeseburger, but other than that, this just isn't winning any contests. Well, that's fast food for you. I mean, this is processed. It's been sitting too long. It's clearly not very fresh. If I had maybe ordered it without pickles, maybe they would have made me a fresh one, but this was clearly just sitting around. This is not something I can recommend. It is better getting the double as opposed to the single, because the double does have more heft to it. It tastes a little bit more like there's actually meat in it. But it's not something that, there is no point in my life where I would actively seek this out over other hamburgers. If almost any other hamburger were available from a recognized chain, I would probably eat that. This is just, it's there, it's fine. It's not making me sick, but it's just kind of boring. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Comments below. I'm Richard. Greetings, humanity. Once again, Fred the Facehugger here, reminding you to comment, like, and subscribe. And of course you should do that, because if you look, I am wearing 2 bracelets. These bracelets are from 4Ocean, a company that pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time somebody buys something from them. Well, the owner of this channel has pledged to buy 1 bracelet for every 1,000 subscribers. And it's a very, very dirty ocean that you dirtied. So you should help him out and comment, like, and subscribe. Therefore, having him more subscribers so that he can buy more bracelets and clean that ocean. Or, I could fulfill my life cycle and hug your face. Don't you want a hug? Come over here. I want to give you a hug. I want to give you a hug right now. Yes, come over here, polluting human. Let me give you a hug. Now we review the 2019 Full Moon Studios production, Giantress Attack vs. Mecha Fembot. Hollywood, where are you hiding the good stuff? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I ran across a bizarre movie last night. Giantress Attack vs. Mecha Fembot, I believe is the name. It is not Gigantress, it is Giantess, which is a kaiju movie about giant women. And these giant women apparently used to be employed by a TV show, but the last movie destroyed the TV show. So now, there's our 2 heroes, Giantress and somebody else. And there's a evil villain slut who convinces a doctor to create a giant fembot, and then they go out there and they recreate the sort of wrestling movies, wrestling endings, wrestling fights of the great era of kaiju films that is the 70s. So if you want to take a Godzilla movie but replace it with women wearing slinky outfits, show no nudity whatsoever, and see them rolling around being stupid, that's what this movie is. Also, I believe that they are made giant women by some sort of a metal, looks very uncomfortable, dirty toy. Before I go any further, let me remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. If you'd be so kind as to comment, like, and subscribe, you'd be doing your part for a better world. Now, this movie is not meant to be good. Let's be clear on that if you like this movie, that's fine. This movie is meant to be fun, not good. And, in the realm of movies like this, it is for people who have sort of that... I think most of us men at some point in our life had this sort of fantasy of a giant woman probably before you hit puberty. Just a giant woman as your playground. And, there are a number of movies that fit into this category. This is kind of a subgenre, but it's not a very popular one because it's not a lot of people are really that into this sort of thing. So, you watch this movie and it's kind of light on plot and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but there are a lot of close-ups and upskirts and panty shots. And, it's a movie made for a 14-year-old boy who goes to an all-boys school and, seeing panties is a big thing for him. You know, this is made for the boy that goes out there and steals a girl's panties and keeps them in his box under the bed, sort of a movie. It is a weird movie for a weird people. And you know what? Weird is not necessarily a bad thing, so long as you're not hurting anybody else. Go ahead and be weird. Let's be clear on that. I mean, personally, I am not terribly tickled by seeing a giant woman running around with purple panties, and they're not even really sexy panties. They're just panties. There is, I think, the sexiest clothing in the film is somebody's screen for their phone. So there's that. And you watch this and you're just like, I don't get it. You know, I mean, I watched it all the way through. I did not have to stop. I did not have to be like, okay, this is too much for me. I turned the thing on. I let it run. I watched it through. I don't think I was paying that much attention. I think I was writing a letter for my blog as I watched this. But this is not a movie where paying full attention means all that much. I mean, it's a gobbledygook of bodies and body parts and giant women and tiny men. So if that's what you want to see, then that's what you want to see. This is one of those movies that is meant to be for fans of the genre only, and that genre being people who want to see giant women in slinky outfits who never get naked. So yes, go on with your bad self. Just my opinion. Love to hear yours. Comments below. I, of course, am Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Barry, the official strawberry poison dart frog of Random Street Theater. And I am here to remind you, of course, that for every 1,000 subscribers Random Street Theater gets, they buy one of these bracelets I'm wearing as a necklace. These bracelets are from the company 4Ocean, and for every one of them that's purchased, a pound of trash is removed from the ocean. Why should you care? Because the world is full of trash, and you shouldn't be part of that. We should all take responsibility, do our part for the environment, and make my home much cleaner. In addition, Random Street Theater has paid for more than 100 trees to be planted. Comment, like, and subscribe. Support a better world for you and a better world for me. I'm Barry. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am Richard. This is Random Street Theater, and I have to try for you some Mountain Dew Spark. Why do I do this to myself? Mountain Dew is disgusting. Spark is a pink lemonade beverage from Mountain Dew. So pink lemonade soda, basically. It's like raspberry? Yes, raspberry lemonade. You know, guys, just as a note, okay, you should really, in the comments below, tell me if you want me to keep trying Mountain Dew. Because if that's what you want, I mean, I have no problem doing it, and I need blog posts, but Mountain Dew is, I mean, I purchased this because it was on sale. It was a flavor I hadn't tried, but I mean, I could go get better soda. I mean, I don't have to kill myself with this. Anyway, for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. If you would be so kind as to comment, like, and subscribe, you'd be doing your part for a better world. Anyway, let's try it. It's just too much. You know, the lemon is bitter enough, or sour enough rather, and adding the raspberry just doesn't really add much to the beverage. I would have much preferred something simpler. It's just one of those things. Like Mountain Dew is basically and caffeine at this point. You know, you have all kinds of Mountain Dew. You have lots of flavors of Mountain Dew. And Mountain Dew is noted for being high sugar, high caffeine. But, it's like they're 170 calories, at least this one is. And here's my 150 calorie Pepsi, which I enjoy much more. I got some more Mountain Dew. Let me grab it. Okay, so here is a Mountain Dew Purple Thunder at 160 calories. It's also disgusting. And here is a Mountain Dew Dew-SA at 170. If Dew-SA were any good, they'd still be making it, which they're not, so far as I'm aware. And it's like Mountain Dew. People drink this crud because they're trying to stay up late and play video games, or so is the concept. I mean, if you look at this Mountain Dew Spark, you see there's a car eating a raspberry with flames coming out, smoke, bright colors, and lots of fruit, of which this contains 0 fruit juice. Okay, then you look at this Purple Thunder here. There's a motorcycle with a grape driving, and I think it's a plum driving, and a raspberry in the passenger cart. There's a plum with a mohawk. And I mean, really, fancy can art does not make your beverage better. Fancy can art is just the can. And, whereas I'm not opposed to a really cool can, I am opposed to a beverage that is this. It's like, let's just come up with a new flavor so that we can have people say, "Ooh, what's that?" and try it. Look, if you want me to drink your product, making a good product is the number one thing you should do. Not making a new product, making a good product. Because, I purchased this Pepsi. It was on sale at a discount market. There was a cube of them. And because I like Pepsi, I purchased it. It wasn't for a review. It was because I enjoy this beverage. I would never buy this because I enjoy it, because I don't. I mean, Mountain Dew is basically something that you want to mix with alcohol at a party in order to get the night thumping. And yeah, the big problem with that is it's so loaded with sugar, you have to really watch how much you drink. And I mean, yeah, okay, it's only 20 more calories than Pepsi, but it's not as good as Pepsi. I would not say, oh, let me have a rum and Mountain Dew Spark, It really is. I mean, I'm going to grant that there's a lot of flavor here. There's enough flavor here to cover like a bourbon. And yeah, so you could make some strong cocktails with this. And maybe you've got your lady friend over and you're hoping to get her tipsy so you can get it on a little easier. But, I'm not that guy, so this doesn't appeal to me. This liquid candy here, I mean, it's not as good as regular Mountain Dew, and I haven't had regular Mountain Dew in a long time. I've never even been a fan of regular Mountain Dew, but I would still say, if you had the option of giving me a case of any of the beverages on here except for the Pepsi, I would say give me the regular Mountain Dew as opposed to any of these. Would I rather have a case of Pepsi over a case of Mountain Dew? Yeah, but if somebody were to show up at my house and they had 5 cases of soda, we've got four different sodas up here. If he said what's the order in which you would prefer these? You know, it's like rank them from best to worst. Pepsi goes first. My empty Mountain Dew goes second. I think this might be third, and this might be fourth, and this might be fifth. Okay. I don't remember much about what that tastes like. Okay. But you see, Mountain Dew is better than these three flavors. And that's kind of the problem, is that, you know, you do want to give your customers enough options so that they are going to be picking your product every time. And I have no problem with you coming out with something new. But, I mean, you know, Mountain Dew Lemon or Mountain Dew Lemonade would just be fine. Mountain Dew Spark, unless it has more caffeine than regular Mountain Dew, it's a dumb name. And the yellow can is really misleading because it's a pink beverage. So, I don't know. I mean, I know I'm ranting here and I'm giving it a much worse review than I intend. This is mediocre. It's there. It's not a particularly good soda. I would choose 7-Up over this. I would choose Coke over this. I would choose most of the Shastas over this. It's just, as soda goes, it's not that great. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. I, of course, am Richard.
Randall the Rat here, reminding you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Well, look over here. These are bracelets from 4Ocean. Each one of them means a pound of trash was pulled out of the ocean. And this channel buys one for every 1,000 subscribers it gets. And this around my neck? Well, this is a medal from the Conqueror. It represents walking around the Great Pyramids of Giza. You can get one for yourself by going to the Conqueror challenges.com and saying, hey, I want to pretend I walked around the pyramids of Giza without dealing with all the sweat and flies and delicious scarab beetles. Or you could support this channel so they can buy more of these, which means that they will plant trees, because each one of these represents 5 trees that got planted. Yeah, that's right, 5 trees helping your environment. Global warming sucks. Be a good person, comment, like, and subscribe. Give us more money so that we can plant trees by buying medals from the Conqueror. Randall out.
Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this October 21st, 2024, to Ken Watanabe. He is known for The Last Samurai, Tokyo Vice, Memoirs of a Geisha, Letters from Iwo Jima, love that film, Inception, one of the greatest films ever made, and the 2014 Godzilla. He is 65 years young today. Ken, you have a happy birthday.
Now we review the 2024 film Air Force One Down! Is this an asylum movie? Not an asylum movie. Wow, really? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I was poking around online and I ran into Air Force One Down, which is a modern mockbuster based on the Air Force One movie of, I think, 10 years ago with Harrison Ford. You know, and the premise is this, that the American president has made a deal with a previously communistic country, and that deal would cost a powerful autocrat in that country a lot of money. So he's decided to kill the American president, or at least ransom him to stop the deal. And he does so by taking over Air Force One. All right? That's your basic premise. And what you have primarily is their main character is not the President of the United States in this version. It's a hot chick Secret Service agent with military experience. All right. So the first thing you notice about this particular this particular movie is that there isn't as much time on Air Force One, and Air Force One is not as well fleshed out. there's that. This movie will take place a lot more off the plane, and there will be a lot less cool plane action. All right? Also missing from this film is Air Force One's fighter jet escort and all of the security features that are involved in keeping the right people on Air Force One. So, yeah, I mean, I was not aware that they did press conferences from the actual Air Force One, but that is a thing that happens in this movie. And it's one way people get aboard the plane to help take it over. But, you know, I would assume that because he's the president, we have better safeguards in place to prevent people from getting into the system. You know, there is a reason for that ease of this happening in the film, but it's kind of a hokey reason. But let's be honest with you. The point of this film is for you to see gunfights, battles, fight choreography, and that hot chick showing her cleavage. Right? So, yeah, I mean, great thing about this movie, there is a strong message of female empowerment, and it's conducted by a reasonably hot chick. This movie is, however, utterly cheesy, designed to be, you'd mistake it for the actual Air Force One, rent it, and then be like, well, I mean, it's here, I may as well watch it. It's not a terrible movie. It's not a good movie. The plot makes sense, it's just not realistic. But if you could do all the things that happen in the first act, the rest of the movie does kind of fall into play. So there is that. Look, Air Force One down, unless you're a fan of the mockbuster, and this is not an asylum film, unless you're a fan of the mockbuster, you're probably going to want to skip this one. It belongs very low on your watch list. It's not to be avoided bad, but it's not good in any way. You know, bottom of the watch list, you've got nothing else to do and it's available. Really. But, you know, hey, if you're a 14-year-old boy and you don't have access to the internet and you can't look at all the cleavage you want, then yeah, you may want to check out Air Force One down. If not, I mean, if you're a fan of these kind of movies, which I am, I have to admit, I was never bored while watching this movie. I just really can't recommend it. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. I'm Richard.
Greetings, humans! It's your old pal Randall the Rat again, and I'm taking a break from eating your delicious face to remind you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Well, for one thing, see this bling here? That awesome, isn't it? Yeah, got a dragon on it. This is what you get if you go to the Conqueror and start the Great Wall of China Challenge. Yeah. Walk long enough, bike long enough, you can plant 5 trees and get this awesome necklace, which the owner of this channel, Richard, has done for you, because he wanted to plant 5 trees and get an awesome necklace. And for every 1,000 subscribers he gets, he also buys a bracelet from 4Ocean, and they pull a pound of trash out of the ocean. So the more money he has, the more of these challenges he buys from the Conqueror, and the more trees he plants for you. So if you comment, you like, and subscribe, he can buy more bracelets, pull more trash out of the ocean, and plant more trees. Isn't that awesome? Shouldn't you be doing that then? Be smart. Click that like button, or I'll eat you. Might eat you anyway. You look delicious.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, in honor of Halloween, I have gotten the Carl's Jr. 1/3 pound Angus Ghost. Angus the Ghost. There go my bracelets from 4Ocean. Yes. For those of you unfamiliar, for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase a bracelet from 4Ocean. For every 1,000 subscribers I get, they pull a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. Trying to make the world better. And I can tell you, eating these isn't helping, but yeah. Yeah, there it is. This is no onions. This comes with ghost pepper cheese, tomatoes, lettuce, bacon, burger, of course. I wouldn't necessarily call it meat, but it is a meat-like substance, and some kind of a sauce. Doesn't look to be a true Thousand Island, as well as pickles. You know, I try not to alter these things too much for the purpose of review. So, I mean, the only thing missing from here is the onions because they will make me sick. So, Angus Burger, the Ghost. Let's see how it is. It is hot. I can really taste that heat. I wouldn't say it's a lot of heat, but it is there. This is the largest version of this you can get, by the way. I'm actually going to say the bacon doesn't add much. It's definitely overshadowed by the cheese, which is where the spice comes from. There is a little much on the lettuce side, taste-wise, because it's falling apart. I normally don't get pickles on my burgers, but you can hardly taste them. They are there. I can taste them, but they're hardly tasteable. Again, this is a big sloppy burger. There is a lot of it got on my shirt. I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be standing and eating. You know, and I shouldn't be trying to get through this as fast as I am. Here are those pickles. Not much in the way of them. Just way too much salt in this already. But if you're a fan of heat, this is reasonable restaurant heat. I mean, it's what you expect. I don't really think like this is hot sauce level. And I mean, I'm not a fan of hot sauce. I don't eat a lot of hot things. But, you know, fast food restaurants rarely have anything that is hot enough for me to dislike it. And I mean, yeah, okay. There is some heat here, but it's not ghost pepper level heat. If you like spicy food, this was probably going to be a disappointment. It is a wet kind of a burger. As I say, got on my shirt. I'm going to make the general statement that it's actually pretty good, but it is Carl's Jr. Carl's Jr. is kind of a premium burger place. You know, to get the meal was $20. So, yeah. You know, this was the largest version of this burger they had. It is a lot of burger. It is a lot of food, you know. So on and so forth, but I mean, if you were going to Carl's Jr. anyway, and you wanted to try this, it's probably it's probably for those people who like hot food. The heat stays with you a little bit, so I mean, I can still feel it in my mouth, and it's a solid enough heat, but it's not something that I would be like, oh my God, you got to try this. It's an experience. It's there. I mean, solid contribution. I would say that if you wanted a new experience and you were going for this as opposed to what you might find at Jack in the Box right now or what you might find at Burger King right now, this is so far the most unique burger I have had that has been released in October. Is it absolutely wonderful? It's a fast food burger. It's not the best burger in the world. It's not the worst burger in the world. It is a solid, better than average fast food burger. And, you know, if this were something I was into, I would probably get one again. It's not. Okay, so I might try the other two, which are smaller, but this was good. It was good. Legitimately good. But that's just my opinion. And I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. I'm Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Barry, the official strawberry poison dart frog of Random Street Theater, and I am here to remind you, of course, that for every 1,000 subscribers Random Street Theater gets, they buy one of these bracelets I'm wearing as a necklace. These bracelets are from the company 4Ocean, and for every one of them that's purchased, a pound of trash is removed from the ocean. Why should you care? Because the world is full of trash, and you shouldn't be part of that. We should all take responsibility, do our part for the environment, and make my home much cleaner. In addition, Random Street Theater has paid for more than 100 trees to be planted. Comment, like, and subscribe. Support a better world for you and a better world for me. I'm Barry. Ladies and gentle persons, I am struggling to get it started. So I'm going to take a multivitamin along with reviewing some Big Game Energy Sour Gummy. Ugh. Sour, all right. Ugh. Wakes you up out of disgust. The taking a multivitamin, there's a particle of dust. The taking a multivitamin thing is an old college trick. If you don't have the right vitamins in your system, you can't remember crap. So, being as in college you do need to remember crap, it's a good idea. This doesn't expire until November of 2005, or 25, so it's good. And zero sugar, 200 milligrams of vitamin B12, 25 milligrams of B6. Not a lot else going on there. Oh, yeah. This has an aftertaste. And that aftertaste will wake you up. Maybe that was in the ice. Looks like one of my hairs. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like lime. Manufactured in the USA. Manufactured exclusively for Bucked Up. Yeah. Bucked Up energy, huh? Natural and artificial flavors. It's got a digital deer's head on it. I don't know. It looks like it's inspired by some kind of a hunting game or something like that. I don't know. Ugh. You take long drafts of this stuff and it tastes bitter, but then the bitterness just really slams you in the aftertaste. Ingredients: carbonated water, natural flavors, malic acid, taurine, tetric acid, sucralose, caffeine, anhydrous, sodium benzate, N-actyl, L-taurazine, ecylsulfonamine, potassium, organic carrot powder, alpha size, alpha GPC, 50% vitamin B6, paradoxydrine, HCI, lutein, zeaxanthin, Hyperon A, vitamin B12, methylocobalamine. Ooh, I think it's even giving me a stomach ache. Oh. Yeah. I'm awake. I'm awake. This stuff really works. I'm awake because I think I'm going to throw up, but this stuff really works. I'm Richard.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Randall, yet again. And you can see, in addition to my bracelets from Ocean, each one representing a pound of trash pulled out of the ocean, I got me some Scooby-Doo and Save the Planet 2 medal from Koronker around my neck. Yes, Koronker, conquer something or other. Anyway, look, here's how this works. You walk, you sign up for this thing like the owner of this channel, you walk, they plant 5 trees, and send you this, Scooby-Doo thing. You can Scooby-Doo and Save the Planet 2, just like was done for this channel. So you can help this channel, Scooby-Doo and Save the Planet 2, by commenting, liking, and subscribing. Or you could go do it yourself. So if you're lazy, click that like button, say something nice, and if you're not lazy, go sign up, maybe do some trick-or-treating, walk a haunted house, and then I want your face, which is a perfect thing to do right now. How I love human face.
Now we review Furiosa! A Mad Max saga. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Random Street Theater. I am Richard Neal, and I don't know if you can hear, but in the background there is some business going on, but it is at least regular business and should be filtered out by my computer, so I'm not worried. And I have just seen Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. Before I go any further, let me remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean then pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. If you'd be so kind as to comment, like, and subscribe, you'd be doing your part for a better world. Now, Furiosa. I did not see Mad Max Fury Road. So, I am not familiar with the character of Furiosa. I know that she teams up with Max in the movie. I believe in that movie she had the cybernetic arm. And this is the story that sets up how Furiosa became Furiosa. It starts as she is a young girl living in a wonderful shrouded oasis. Some bad guys show up. She gets kidnapped and lots of bad things happen to her. And, this is how she became this unbreakable spirit that defines the role of the badass female. She does have to earn it. And, that's where this story is. And it doesn't star the original Furiosa, obviously, because this has to be a younger actress. And I think they're hoping to keep a franchise going without I can never pronounce her name properly, Miss Sharon there. Because that actress is a lot more expensive. This actress, being a little less well known, will probably be a lot cheaper. And they spent the extra money to get yourself a Hemsworth, the best of the Hemsworth, in fact. And, there you have it. And probably where this movie shines the most is that its visuals are spectacular, although a few of them do look a little fake. And in fact, what this film looks like is somebody took the stylings of a graphic novel and made it into a film. The use of darkness so that you just have to draw an outline instead of drawing the full character, monochromatic or bichromatic scenes. Like there's one scene where there's blue, but there are lights that are yellow, and everything else is the dark blue that is used as the black. There are scenes that are just red filter, and so on and so forth, which very much depict this. This is what you would do in a graphic novel, because it's easier on the system. It's easier for a artist to paint. It's just, this is how this was done back in the day. And that's what I see primarily here. Okay, if you look at the acting, the first girl who plays Furiosa, the youngest Furiosa, she is solid enough. Not a lot of emoting for this character, but that's kind of who she is. The next girl, she has to do a lot of acting with her eyes and acting with her body language, and she does that very well. And that was definitely well done. Now, Chris Hemsworth, I don't know if I like the fact that they made him a villain who looks like Jewish Jesus. And just to be clear, the real Jesus probably had that nose, but would have been a lot darker. Okay, just the first thing that changes with a people is their skin tone when they move to a new area. And, when the Jews left Israel and were scattered into Europe, they became lighter toned. And when they were scattered into Africa, yes, there are Jews in Africa, they became darker toned. And that's one of those things. But that that forward nose, it kind of helps to keep the wind out of the nostrils, in my opinion. And it is common. I mean, Amy Winehouse had one. So it's common amongst the Hebrew. And, you know, so they gave Hemsworth this really Semitic-looking nose and made him an evil dude with a beard. Don't know if I care for that, but I guess they couldn't use his real face for some reason. But, you know, he hams it up in this. He's not... Like, his character is... I don't know. When you see him acting as Thor, he makes a perfect Thor because he's got that accent and he is this big, sort of lumbering, very stoic character as Thor. And, you know, this thee and thou, very stuck-up sort of thing. And when he loses that, his character doesn't seem as strong. And, I mean, this is a character, he does play a character that has demons. Okay, and he feels the world has taken from him. And that is a great way to start a character, but we don't really see enough of his character to understand it. It's kind of a one-dimensional character until that reveal is made clear. And then the rest, I mean, he's just not given enough to do. He's not given varying scenes. He doesn't have the depth of character because it's just, there's a lot of him wanting. And, you know, it's like, yes, he's ruthless, which is what you expect from your bad guy. But everybody in this is ruthless. And I mean, in fact, yes, this is a world where the ruthless survive. But it does bring up a lot of questions. Like, why do people follow him if he's so dang ruthless? How does he get the protein to stay that swole? How is he working out? What's going on here? Where are these people getting the resources to have these massive biker gangs that tool across this vast wasteland? You know, it's like, yes, I understand motorcycles are very fuel efficient and they can go quite a distance. But even then, you know, you would have an army walking their bikes for most of the distance. And then, because this fuel is so precious, at least in the earlier Mad Max films, I mean, in Mad Max, society was still hanging on, and people were still I mean, there was still a society that existed. In fact, it doesn't exactly say in the original Mad Max what happened or how it was even bad. The world looked reasonably normal. Mad Max played a cop. In The Road Warrior, society seems to have fallen completely. And the movies seem almost entirely unrelated, except for the look of the main character. I don't even remember them calling him Max in that movie. Okay, and then Beyond Thunderdome is a solid enough sequel to The Road Warrior, but, you know, there are still questions. Okay, then I didn't see Fury Road, so I don't know. But then in this world, there is the technology to create that cybernetic arm that Furiosa has. I don't understand how that works. But, I mean, she didn't need any time to adjust to the cybernetic arm. So it would have to use a full neurological link to the brain. Because the cybernetics arm we have today work off muscle tension. And it's like, you know, if you want to close your fist, you flex your pec. Or you flex your bicep, I mean. And that closes it. And maybe it's your tricep, and then that opens it. And you just have that. Or there are ones where the whole arm is intact. It's just the hand. And then it's like you flex the wrist, and it closes. And you flex the wrist, and it opens. So it's shake. I mean, I've seen these things. That looks like it's a direct neural interface. Because within hours or maybe days of her adding it, it's just her. It's not something she's having trouble using. So there's that as well. And yes, this is a film with a lot of incredible set pieces, and it's a very large film with lots and lots of scope and imagery, but it is still a comic book come to life. And I don't know if that's a good thing. It depends on you if that's a good thing. I would assume that if I had seen Fury Road, I would know these characters better, and I would understand them better, and I would like them better. But I do also have to point out here that this movie is kind of dumb. I mean, it's like, yes, sanity is gone, and this stuff is just designed to look incredible. You know, it's like nobody's trying to make an efficient war buggy. They're trying to make a war buggy that intimidates the enemy. And it's like there's a scene in there where a character close to Furiosa dies, and in a very, very horrible manner, although they kind of gloss over how horrible it is. But you have to ask yourself, in a world where fertile females are hard to find, why would you kill a fertile female? I mean, maybe it's in there and I didn't notice it, that she was wounded somehow and unable to bear children after that. But if this is a woman related to Furiosa and also a woman who has had a child in good order, why? You know, it's just they're a limited resource. I hate to be cold about it, but they're a limited resource and there's something to be preserved. And also, a point to be understood about this is that the freaks really should have been a lot more freaky in this movie. And again, not to be cold, but it's like, look, we live in a society where we take care of, at least we try to, the disabled, right? That is the society we live in. But that was not always the case. There is an old urban legend that happens to be true about a person named Jonny No Face, okay? And what happened is that as a young boy, Jonny No Face was playing with an electrical line and got blasted. And he lived, but it destroyed both of his eyes and his nose, I believe, and left him horribly disfigured. And he would make a living weaving belts. It was something he could do. You know, in this society of Mad Max, if you can't pull your own weight, they're going to kill you. They may even kill and eat you because they need the protein, or at least use your body to fertilize their crops. So this is just one of those things that one has to point out, is that, look, everybody is pulling their own weight in this society. Old people are going to be working until they die. Young people are going to be working as soon as they are able. And, you know, if there was somebody who was born with cleft feet and couldn't walk, they got to have something to do, okay? Or they're going to kill that baby because they don't have the resources to feed them. And that's just one of those things about this movie, is you don't see that. So there is a lack of depth. Now, look, I think most people are enjoying this film, and it is a popcorn movie. My gripes are kind of silly. So I will grant you that. But, you know, what you need to do with this particular film is turn your head off and eat popcorn and enjoy it. And I think you can do that. So it belongs in the middle of your watch list, all right? If you're a fan of the franchise, you can tick that up to maybe the upper 40% of your watch list, but not much higher. I was actually not really impressed by this film. But that's just my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. I'm Richard.
Randall the Rat here, reminding you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Well, look over here. These are bracelets from 4Ocean. Each one of them means a pound of trash was pulled out of the ocean. And this channel buys one for every 1,000 subscribers it gets. And this around my neck? Well, this is a medal from the Conqueror. It represents walking around the Great Pyramids of Giza. You can get one for yourself by going to the Conqueror challenges.com and saying, hey, I want to pretend I walked around the pyramids of Giza without dealing with all the sweat and flies and delicious scarab beetles. Or you could support this channel so they can buy more of these, which means that they will plant trees, because each one of these represents 5 trees that got planted. Yeah, that's right, 5 trees, helping your environment. Global warming sucks. Be a good person, comment, like, and subscribe. Give us more money so that we can plant trees by buying medals from the Conqueror. Randall out.
Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this December 10th, 2024, to the late Michael Clark Duncan. He is known for The Green Mile, Daredevil, Armageddon, The Scorpion King, Planet of the Apes. But for me, he will always be the best Groot in the animated Spider-Mans. Michael, you were taken from us too soon, and you will live forever in our hearts.
Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this June 20th, 2024, to John Goodman. John was best known for his role as Dan Connor on Roseanne, but he was also in excellent films like The Big Lebowski, Monsters, Inc., 10 Cloverfield Lane. I loved him in Red State, but I never saw Flintstones. John is 72 years young today. John, you have a happy birthday.
Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this December 18th, 2024, to one of the greatest directors who has ever lived, Steven Spielberg. He is known for such incredible works as Schindler's List, Jaws, Jurassic Park, The Fabelmans, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, as well as many more. He is 78 years young today. Steven, you have a happy birthday.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Richard. This is Random Street Theater, and I have some genuine Black Rifle Coffee Company Berry Mocha Espresso. Yeah. America! I don't know if I'm supposed to shake this, but it's been sitting for a week or two, so... Looks like really thick chocolate milk. Cat hair. Natural and artificial flavored, this is. 140 calories, 19 grams of sugar, 5 grams of protein, 270 milligrams of sodium. By the way, if you love America, and I certainly do, you should know that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from the company 4Ocean. 4Ocean then pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that, supporting the American way of life, because a clean ocean means a clean place to fish. Fish that are not full of plastic and chemicals. Fish, well, human-made chemicals. We want them full of things like water, which is technically a chemical. This is a chemical. We don't want this in our fish. We want this in our person. So if you want a cleaner world for you to hunt and fish and, just live in, support my channel, because I'm all about that. I mean, one of those things we often forget is that in order to be outdoorsy, there needs to be an outdoorsy to be in, and that outdoorsy should be clean. You don't go littering around your campgrounds, do you? Of course you don't. You don't want crap out there, rustling about while you're trying to kill that deer. Okay. This is smooth. It does have a berry-ish flavor. It is strong, not too sweet. Bitter, very slightly bitter aftertaste. But yeah, this is actually really good stuff. Now, this is my second can of this. I could only find 2 of them where they were sold out where I bought them, which was at the Dollar Tree. But, yeah. Does appear to have a CRV, so this will go to a nun who will then take it and recycle it and use the money to feed orphans. Because we're all about saving the world here in America. Yes. I am sure that the people who made this coffee are like, yes, America saves the world! Anyway, as I say, this is my second can of this. The first can I had about 2 weeks ago, and it was a pretty solid can. You know, it got me going. So yes, really, really good stuff. This, if you're looking for a canned coffee. I'm not a big fan of canned coffees. Excuse me. I normally drink caffeinated seltzers at the moment, or at home I drink hot coffee, and only recently have I returned to the practice of taking coffee to my work. You know, taking a cup of travel mug of coffee, because you know that's who I am right now. I mean, I came from a place where I used to go to work every day and make a pot of coffee for everyone, and I can't do that anymore because of where I work. They don't appreciate there being coffee, so I don't even have a proper coffee maker at the moment. I have an improper coffee maker. I have a coffee maker that will never shut off and is technically a fire hazard, and you know, it's something that one would put at a guard station because I'm a security officer, and you know, it would keep your coffee warm all shift. It would also eventually make coffee syrup, which is something I absolutely love. But I've only been able, I mean, I once worked at a place where they had I'm digressing. But I once worked at a place where they had gallon coffee makers that always kept it hot and never burnt it. So at the end of the week, there would be just this essentially dried coffee at the bottom, and I'd just throw some water in there and it would boil up into a syrup, and then at the end of my shift, I'd collect that. I'd steal it. I'm such a strange man. Anyway, yeah, coffee. I love coffee. Hi, folks. It's me, Barry, again. That's right, the strawberry poison dart frog, adopted by Random Street Theater from the World Wildlife Fund. And I'm here to remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers, this channel buys one of these necklaces I have on, which are bracelets for humans. That's from the company 4Ocean. And they pull a pound of trash out of the ocean every time this channel does that. So you should be a good person, comment, like, and subscribe, so that this channel can afford to pull pounds of trash out of the ocean and adopt animals like me for conservation's sake. I'm Barry. It's good stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is April 11th, 2024, and the 50th birthday of the Queen of Blades herself, Tracy Heffler. Yeah, she played Sarah Kerrigan in StarCraft. And she is utterly awesome. Also, I believe 6 in Battlestar Galactica. I believe she's done Playboy. You know, very, very attractive woman, aging like fine wine. Tracy, I know you may be tempted to do so. Don't drink too much. Bad things may happen to you. And we want you to have a long and fruitful career. The best years of your life are still ahead of you. Keep on being awesome. Happy birthday.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen. I have tried the 1/3 pound The Ghost burger from Carl's Jr. Here I have the double The Ghost burger from Carl's Jr. I looked it up. These are actually more calories than the 1/3 pound. But the 1/3 pound is more expensive. So, if you're going to buy one, and you want the most burger for your money, the double is where you need to go. Okay, this is called the Ghost Burger because it has ghost pepper cheese in it. It has leaf lettuce, tomato, bacon, obviously 2 patties. Before I go any further, let me of course remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from the company 4Ocean. Four Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. If you would be so kind as to comment, like, and subscribe, you'd be doing your part for a better world. I am giving the entire world an opportunity, at least the world of YouTube, an opportunity to do something for the environment for free. Don't waste that opportunity. Now, you can see this is a pretty hefty burger. It's really greasy. There's grease all over the place with this thing. Why do I do this to myself? You know, I'm not a big fan of these particular burgers. I'm more of a bacon western eater, but here we go. Okay, I am noticing the heat as I did with the third pound. But it is just harder to get this in my mouth. I mean, obviously the lettuce adds a lot of heft to it. And I mean, maybe there was more heat on that bit of cheese, but I think there's more of the cheese on there. But yeah, this is a much bigger burger, just burger-wise. It's like, I'm into fitness in my mouth, yeah. Yeah, this thing is no joke in terms of the size of the burger. Yeah, definitely more heat because the two pieces of cheese. I can really feel the heat on my tongue. Very strong capsaicin there. Definitely a very flavorful burger. I'm going to have to say that the Ghost Double, or double the Ghost, is considerably better than the 1/3 pound. Just the added cheese gives it so much more flavor that, I mean, really, with the other one, I just felt it in the back of my mouth. Now I'm feeling it in more of my mouth. It's reacting so much more with the heat there. I will admit that the bacon is more of a texture than a flavor. But yeah, I'm actually saying I would recommend, if you're a fan of spicy food. This isn't super spicy, but it's definitely spicy. It has a very strong spice profile. I mean, it's not uncomfortable. It's not like, oh my god, but it's definitely spicy enough so that you really feel it's spicier than I would expect from a fast food offering. Yeah, I mean, this is hotter than anything that was on the Burger King fiery menu, I could tell you that much. It's not an incredible thing to have, but it is definitely worth having. I mean, this is a much more solid burger, just from a standpoint of flavor. It goes far enough so that, you know, it's more than a regular burger. It's noticeable. It's strong. This wouldn't be like a hot sauce lover's dream. You can definitely get hotter burgers, particularly if you add your own heat. But yeah, I'm saying that this is solid. This is a good offering, worth trying if you want to try something new. This is a good burger. You know, I like it far more than almost anything I've tried this month from any other venue. So yeah, you know, the Double Ghost, it's a thumbs up burger. Really good there. I would recommend trying it. Yeah, it's worth it. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. I, of course, am Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Barry, the official strawberry poison dart frog of Random Street Theater, and I am here to remind you, of course, that for every 1,000 subscribers Random Street Theater gets, they buy one of these bracelets I'm wearing as a necklace. These bracelets are from the company 4Ocean, and for every one of them that's purchased, a pound of trash is removed from the ocean. Why should you care? Because the world is full of trash, and you shouldn't be part of that. We should all take responsibility, do our part for the environment, and make my home much cleaner. In addition, Random Street Theater has paid for more than 100 trees to be planted. Comment, like, and subscribe. Support a better world for you and a better world for me. I'm Barry.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a trailer for the Lionsgate Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, I believe, is not copyrightable. So this is somewhat similar to Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey.
I think I found something.
We've discovered a temple.
This is an incantation against evil spirits.
We are going to be famous!
Where can I find this man?
A European woman go out to sell some pieces. You may be the only person able to help. You know what they are?
An ancient sea god. Can you tell her that I'd like to meet with her?
Doctor.
Beautiful, mysterious.
I'm quite drawn to you.
Christopher Columbus said he saw mermaids but thought they'd be hotter.
Mermaids are beautiful creatures.
They also lead unsuspecting men to their deaths.
Like all women.
Forgive my suspicions.
Suspicions?
Are you accusing my new girlfriend of being a mermaid?
Why would you be suspicious of me? Driven by curiosity. The world will be as it was.
We have to stop her. The only way to stop the ancient evil by sacrificing a human.
You need to stop, okay? You're losing it.
You still want to hang out with me after I called you a mermaid?
Nah. I mean, you know, what's that? Looks like a low-budget horror movie. Not a great one either. Anyway, probably would skip it, but then I love horror movies, so definitely will see it.
Celebrity birthday wishes go today, this September 18th, 2024, to Jackson Robert Scott, who is best known for playing Georgie in the 2017 film It. But he has also been in Prodigy, Lock and Key, Skin, and Jesus Revolution, as well as many more. He is 16 years old today. Jackson, you have a happy birthday. Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this December 2nd, 2024, to Celeste O'Connor. She is known for Freaky, A Good Person, The In-Between, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Madam Web, and many more. She is 25 years old today. Celeste, you have a happy birthday. Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this July 15th, 2024, to one of America's most hardcore politicians, Jesse Ventura. Yes, I know him best from his role in the film Predator, but he was a professional wrestler, and I believe had a distinguished military career. He is 73 years young today. Jesse, you have a happy birthday. Celebrity birthday wishes go out today, this July 25th, 2024, to Matt LeBlanc. Matt is best known for portraying Joey on Friends and Joey, the Friends spinoff. But he has been in a few other things like Man with a Plan, Friends the Reunion, and episodes? Okay, Matt is 57 years young today. Mr. LeBlanc, you have a happy birthday.
Now we review Dune 2. Hey man, I love it when I can see both Dunes. I'm checking that business out. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen Dune 2. I had to go watch Dune 1 because I missed that one in theaters. No, I didn't. I got a crappy screener of Dune 1 when it was in theaters, and I saw it, and I hated it, and I watched everybody else's seeing it, and they loved it, so I thought the screener just had to be terrible. The screener was terrible, and I have to say, I like Dune 1, I like Dune 2. Dune 2, even better than Dune 1. And before anybody gets anywhere, let me remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I do purchase one of these bracelets from the company 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. You'd be so kind as to comment, like, and subscribe. We will keep our oceans clean together. And yeah. Better world for you and me. Anyway, so as we left our hero, Paul Atreides, he was with the Fremen on the desert planet of Arrakis, also called Dune. So, yeah, and it turns out he's a really good Fremen. I mean, he's just the most kicking it of Fremen. He can fight like a madman. He can tell people what to do. He can ride sandworms. And, awesome movie ensues. Also, you have your fan favorite characters of Raban, Fade, and the Baron Harkonnen, And in this one, again, they have that weird white skin with no eyebrows thing going on. Apparently that's Harkonnens. And Harkonnens are the epitome of evil. They are in the book, they're basically Russians. And, these basically Russians in the book are as sadistic as Cossacks. Cossack soldiers were known to be, like, you really didn't want to run into them. They were the kind of people that would, slaughter a village and eat them. So those were Cossacks. And these Harkonnens are basically, they're very wealthy because of the spice. They have always been sort of the Emperor's black ops people. And they run around doing terrible things. And yeah, so that's your movie. And I will say this much. This movie, it really brings it in terms of the set design and the world building. I really like the way these things are designed, although I will say this much. There is not enough of a separation between the Harkonnens and the Atreides. There's not enough of a separation in terms of physical appearance. Like, a Harkonnen is a Harkonnen because they're generally showing more skin and they're white as an albino. They have a shockingly white skin tone. But the clothing isn't as varied. The structures and the things should be more varied. there should be a very distinctive, this is what a Harkonnen house looks like, and this is what a Fremen house looks like, and so on and so forth. Although, one thing to note in this particular film is that in the book, the Fremens were very much scavengers. You know, they would always investigate, they would always, salvage. In this, they're not as close to scavengers, so they wouldn't have as many bits of Harkonnen or Atreides technology as the others would. That is the thing about this, but still it is a very beautiful movie. And I enjoyed it. It takes liberties from the book, and that's fine, because if I wanted something exactly like the book, there is a thing exactly like the book. It's called The Book. I could go read the book again, which I think I've read it 6 or 7 times, and I could see the things happen the way they happen in the book. In this movie, it still gets to the same place, but it doesn't get to the same place in the same way, if that makes sense. So yes, wonderful movie, really well done. I will say, however, if I were to redirect this movie, I would have made the Bene Gesserits more attractive. Because do remember, they're not nuns. They are nuns in a way, but they're not nuns. They're Greek nuns. They, send people out to have sex with you. The Lady Jessica, who is the Duke's lady, was supposed to be really hot. And, she's essentially part of a religion that she's a prostitute. The Bene Gesserit will gift one of their sisters to a nobleman as a sex toy. That's what they do. Part of what they do is they have this allure to them. They are generally much more attractive. And look, in our modern age, we have older women who are still very attractive. I would still sleep with Jamie Lee Curtis, She wouldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole, I'm sure, but I would sleep with her if given the chance. And I am sure that, there would be a Jamie Lee Curtis among these nuns. So they should probably have been more attractive. But other than that, no real complaints about this movie. Love the way everything was done. Love the technology. Really, this movie is very high on your watch list. It is an incredibly enjoyable science fiction film. And, disclaimer, I saw the original Dune as a kid. I really liked the original Dune as a kid. I did not find it confusing. It was easy to follow for me. Made perfect sense. This Dune is in many ways more faithful to the book. I'd still like the old one better, but that could be through nostalgia glasses. I haven't seen it in a while. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Love to hear yours. Comments below. I'm Richard.
Greetings, humans!